Hey guys, what's up everyone? Welcome back to a new video. It has been a while. There was the holiday time and the New Year's and everything that has kept me from producing new content. But now it's time for a new year and it's time for new content. That being said, a question I get asked a lot is, what is the best way to learn hacking? This question is very hard to answer because there are many different ways of how to learn hacking, and there is no right and no wrong way. It's more about which way works best for you. I had previously written a huge article about how to get started with cybersecurity, which I will link in the upper right corner right now, so you may also check that out. That's more of a guideline that you can follow through on, and there's also a lot of my history of how I learned hacking. It's a very curvy path, so you go through many different things that bring you from one thing to the other thing, and that might be interesting for you to read in that regard. That's way too much to cover for this video, so I will just go over a couple of points that I found most important and also that I find most worth mentioning. And there are also things included in this video that I would have done differently if I would have known this information that I know now back then when I started out myself. So before we dive in, I want to mention one thing, and this is, I will not go through all of the prerequisites that you need for hacking, like basic networking and stuff like this. This is all what you can read in the article that I have linked previously. There are all the basic requirements that you need as a prerequisite to learn hacking. This is really about the best way to learn actual hacking, not going through all the prerequisites, but actually going through the methods of how to practice actual hacking. So as I said before, there are many different ways on how to learn hacking. The first point I've listed here is take a course at your current location. And what I mean by that is simply that whatever you have in your location, like community colleges or something like this, they sometimes offer courses on hacking or cybersecurity or something like this. If you are still in school, of course, it's an option for you to study computer science or study a field that eventually will bring you towards the direction of hacking or being a hacker in the future. And so there is this option, and this is not an option I would choose because I more like to compose my own curriculum when it comes to those things. So I like to choose my own material to study, so I don't really like to sit in school and listen to somebody talk. I rather do it on my own pace. Which brings us to the next point, which is take an online course. So I did many online courses, but none of them was in hacking. Most of the online courses I took were on programming, web development, photography, I think writing and web design, SEO, stuff like this. I never found a course that I liked with the topic of hacking. So I never really did an online course. There might be good courses out there. I did not find any. And with online courses, I mean stuff like Skillshare and Udemy. There is not too much content out there like there is for programming, where professional bootcamp directors are actually teaching online courses and stuff like this, so real high quality stuff. I don't know about hacking, you would have to look into that yourself. I generally like online courses, but I don't know if it would work for learning hacking because there's so many different things to it. And the disadvantage of following an online course entirely is just that you just follow along and you don't really learn all that much if you don't put in the practice yourself. But there is definitely an advantage to taking an online course. I just can't point you in the direction to a specific course because I haven't taken any myself. So look that up. If you like a teacher, just watch some preview videos or something like this, and maybe you want to enroll in a course. There's also a course provided by Kali, the developers of Kali Linux or OSCP or whatever. I don't know exactly what it's called. I think it's called the OSCP course, where you study, you pay quite a lot of money. I think it's $1,000, and you have to learn on your own pace. You watch some videos, you get access to labs and stuff like this. I haven't taken this either, but a friend of mine took it and he was quite satisfied with the course. So you might look at that as well. Of course, you can also go ahead and in the quotation mark sense of an online course, you can also just go to YouTube and look up videos of people who produce hacking content like myself or Nullbyte or something like that, or we get to that a little bit later. The next point is read hacking books. I personally really like reading hacking books. I'll link an article of my favorite hacking books in the upper right corner for you to check out. And I like studying by books because you can follow through and you have everything written down and you can reread it, which for me is an advantage over an online course where you have to rewatch stuff, which takes much longer than just rereading a line of text, in my opinion. And I like to follow through well-structured books. There are good books out there. There are also very shitty books out there that are not very helpful because the structure is just not good, or the author is assuming that you have some pre-knowledge to the material that he is teaching. So once you get stuck at a certain point, you can't follow through anymore because there is some information missing or something like this. So there's this possibility, but in general I really like studying with hacking books. I think they definitely have their place and they're a great material to learn hacking. The next point is start playing CTFs and do hacking challenges. We will go over this in the next slide. I just want to mention the last point here. That's read through my articles on Ezoic.com and also watch my YouTube videos on this YouTube channel. You can, if you want, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so to get notified when I release new content. All the content that I do is very beginner friendly. I struggled very much in the beginning of my own journey that people who produced cybersecurity content were mostly assuming that you know all the prerequisites for a certain tutorial, like that you know all the Linux commands by heart and stuff like this. If I do a tutorial, I will explain everything to you in a beginner-friendly way so that you are able to fully understand the material that I'm giving to you. So if you like this kind of stuff, just read through it or watch through my videos. Also my older videos, they probably lack a little bit in quality, but I mean quality production-wise, because I didn't have this good equipment back then that I have now. But definitely content-wise, they are same in-depth as my most recent videos, so I recommend you to check that out. Now we get to the fun part, my favorite way to learn hacking, which is learning by doing. This in fact is my favorite way to really learn anything. I always like to learn by doing. So far I had the best experiences with this method, just to get started with something and just fiddle around with it until you figure out how it works. Which brings us to the first point in this list, which is play CTFs. CTFs are capture the flags, and capture the flags, you probably heard this term before in gaming, where you have to capture the enemy flag from a base and bring it back to your own base to get the point. That's not really how capture the flags work in hacking, kind of, but in capture the flags your goal is to capture a flag, and the flag in capture the flag in a hacking CTF is mostly some hashed key or something in a text file hidden somewhere on a vulnerable machine. There are also CTFs that are still named CTFs but are really boot to root machines, which are machines where your goal is to acquire root access, and maybe they have a flag as well somewhere hidden, but really the main goal of the machine can be that you have to root the machine, which you most of the times have to do anyway to acquire the flag or the root flag. So there are a couple of options on how to get started, and we will get more in depth into that in the next slide. But in general, it is like downloading a vulnerable machine and try to break something, and if it doesn't work, read a CTF walkthrough. If you really get stuck at some point and you cannot figure it out yourself for the heck of it, then as a last resort you would read through a walkthrough. But more on that on the next slide. Where do you start to practice CTFs or hacking challenges or something like this? I think the best way on how to start is over the wire, and specifically the bandit game. I think the game has 30 levels and it starts really easy, basically with the first challenge being you just need to connect via SSH to their machine, and you have to read the password for the next level. So how it works is you go from level to level and you learn a lot of basic Linux commands in the beginning, which are very important for hacking. And by the way, I have a walkthrough on my YouTube channel and also on the website, I think up to level 20 or something like this. But there are definitely walkthroughs out there which go through the whole thing. I wouldn't recommend you looking it up too early. Like if you get stuck, spend a little time, Google a possible solution. Like if, let's say, you can't for the hack figure out how to open a text file or something, then don't look for Bandit level 2 solution or something, but look for how to open a text file on Linux and try to figure it out yourself. Only look up the real solution when you really get stuck and you really cannot figure out how to continue. If you go to my website, Cybersecurity.com, the write-up that I have there for Over the Wire, it actually contains spoilers, so I give you some tips, and then if you really get stuck, you can like flip down the spoiler window, which will reveal the solution. So you don't just get the solution by going to the page, you actually have to click an extra button to reveal it, so that you don't accidentally read the solution. But in general, the over-the-wire tutorials or the over-the-wire challenges are, I think, a really great way on how to get started. That was actually the way how I get started after doing some research back in the day when I started, and it really helped me to understand the most important Linux commands and how to use them in a hacking context. Next on the list is Vulnhub. Vulnhub is a website that provides vulnerable virtual machines. So you need to download an image file from their server or from their website, and you need to open it either in VMware, which has a free VMware player, I think, or in VirtualBox, which is my preferred way. VirtualBox is a free virtualization platform from Oracle. You just need to download and install it, and then you need to import the image that you have downloaded from Vulnhub. That's really easy to do. I also have a tutorial on how to do that on cosec.com. I think I'll leave it in the upper right corner if I can find it right now. And so on Vulnhub, some of the VMs are sorted by difficulty, like there is written beginner, intermediate, or expert or something like this. Some aren't, but on all of them you have, if you click on them, you have a description on kind of what you need to do or what the VM is about, a little introduction to the machine. But there's definitely a lot of available machines up there, and I really like them because they have beginner stuff, they have intermediate stuff, and they have really, really hard stuff too. And the best VMs I would start with, the easiest ones would be DVVA. That's Damn Vulnerable Web Applications. That's an older VM, but it's really easy to penetrate nowadays with all the tools we have at our repository. And the next thing I would do would be the basic pen testing machine 1 and 2. They have 2 levels, maybe they have 3 already. I think actually they have 3, and I haven't tried the third one myself yet. But I really enjoyed all of those 3 machines. They are really beginner friendly, and they show you kind of like how to move through a network and stuff like this. So definitely worth checking out Vulnhub and Over the Wire for beginners. Next up, how to practice. How should you practice hacking? So just start playing around. That's basically all you can do. As I said, I really discourage you from just looking up solutions because that way you don't actually learn anything. Just play around and like really search for, if you just fire up a machine and you don't know what to do, then just search for how to do reconnaissance on Kali Linux, or how to find usernames with Nmap, how to run vulnerability scans with Nmap. And then you dig in, you search for Nmap tutorial series. I actually have that on the website too. You can check it out as well. Really beginner friendly stuff, because Nmap is an essential tool. You could search for how to find vulnerabilities on Kali Linux, or how to find exploits for hacking, how to find this and that. Always check if the vulnerable machine has a web server running, so just open a web browser and enter its IP address, or the IP address of the machine, into your web browser and see if a website comes up. And from there on, you just take notes and you see what works, and you write down what worked, what methods worked for you. You take notes, and yeah, that's basically how you start. And that's the second point there, right there. Document everything you find. This is really important. I use a tool called Evernote, and that's really nice to structure your findings, basically, so you can make notes about reconnaissance, about vulnerability scanning, stuff like this. You can write it all down very nicely, categorized, because the commands that you find work for you most often, you want to be able to find them over and over again until you like memorize them. So you want to quickly find your notes in this well-structured place, or you can use any other note-taking app like OneNote as well. If you do find something, also take notes on how you found it, because some vulnerabilities will come up over and over again, and when you stumbled over the same vulnerability for 3 times and you have to search for a tutorial how to abuse it or how to exploit it over and over again, it really messes with your head, instead of just looking up your notes and seeing, oh, okay, I came over this already and here's how to exploit it, or here's how to use it. The same goes for how to use tools. You can create a second notebook in Evernote, for example, only for Nmap. You can have another notebook for Nikto, where the most important commands are written in, or Metasploit, or whatever. Like, just that you have a place where you can take notes, your own notes, and you can write down stuff that you found working and that you can reuse later on, because this is really the way how to do it. I think this is really important. My next tip, that's a personal favorite of mine. You don't have to do it, but I found it works really well for my style of learning, because I really have a hard time concentrating on stuff for a long time. So I get distracted very, very easily. And what I found working for me is the Pomodoro method. And if you Google that, you will find articles about that. It's basically a method where you set a timer for 25 minutes. It originated from some Italian guy who set a cooking timer for 25 minutes and used that for studying, and it was like a little tomato themed timer, so that's where the name actually came from. And what you do is you put this timer on 25 minutes, you put your phone out of reach, you close your web browser, you close Facebook and all this shit, and you start focusing for 25 minutes, which should be doable for most of us. If it's not, start with a lower time, like 10 minutes, then work your way up to 25 minutes ideally. And after those 25 minutes, you allow yourself a break from 5 to 15 minutes. You just do something else, then you check your Facebook, you check your phone. And once the break is over, you put your stuff away again and you do another Pomodoro timer. I found this works really well for me. You can try it out. If it helps you, great. That's just, I think, another additional tip here that is very useful for you when you get started. And as I've mentioned before, if you get stuck, look for a walkthrough, and don't just look up a solution too early. I can't stress this enough. I'm struggling with this right now in programming, because I'm learning web development and programming, and it's really easy to look up a solution, but it's not easy to figure out a way of how it actually works. So the more you spend time on finding a solution, and you really cannot find it for the heck of it, and let's say you spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes on it, and you just can't figure it out, and you look it up, then it's way more likely that you understand how it works than when you just look it up right away and you just give up right away without struggling a little bit. Because hacking is really struggling. Same like programming, you will just struggle all the time because you search for new information all the time and you can't just remember everything. It's impossible. So you will need to look stuff up, and if you just look it up too early, then you definitely are in disadvantage and you will not learn as much as if you would struggle a little bit and then look up a solution. You could also use the Pomodoro method for that. Like, if you think like you're stuck, hit that Pomodoro timer for 25 minutes. If you cannot figure it out within 25 minutes, look for a solution or look for hints for the problem. Alright, where to go from here moving forward? Other practice resources that I like very, very much. One of my favorite practice resources is hackthebox.eu, I think is the address. And what Hack the Box is basically, it's also a collection of vulnerable machines, but everything is online, so you don't need to download anything. And they usually have 3 to 4 available machines for free that you can use for free. But there's a little challenge right from the start, because if you go to their website and you want to sign up, you first need to solve a challenge to be even able to sign up, which I found absolutely amazing. It was great to go through this challenge. I actually learned a lot just from this one challenge, and I couldn't figure it out myself in the beginning, so I was kind of struggling. But it definitely teaches you a lesson of how hard the machines in Hack the Box are or can be. It's more of a little bit of an advanced thing, I think. I would do that after doing Bandit and after doing the Vuln Hub machines I recommended. But once you're logged in, you have access to 3 or 4 machines that are publicly available until they retire. And some of them will be unbelievably hard for you. You don't even need to try them. But the good thing is they have like 8 different difficulty levels, and each machine gets rated by the users. So you have a really good overview of how hard the machine is. And if a machine gets rated like medium to hard, you don't even need to try that as a beginner. Like, it's really, really hard. There are a lot of pros on there, and there are really a lot of hard machines up there. But they also have a subscription model, which is £10 a month, and I'm actually a subscriber. I took the yearly subscription directly when it came out, and it's definitely worth it, because you can go through all the retired machines and you can sort them by difficulty. And most of the machines, they have like, I don't know, like more than 3,000 ratings or something like that, or more than something like in the 1,000 range of users who played the machine and also rated it afterwards. So you get a really good idea of how hard a machine is. And the easiest machines are definitely worth checking out, and you can just work your way through all of the retired machines. And they have a couple of other things, like you get a more stable VPN connection when you are a VIP or when you subscribe, and you have some other benefits which I don't know of yet. But other than that, they also have challenges up there and all kinds of really hard stuff which I haven't looked into. They have a forum. It's a really, really great place to practice hacking. I'll do it on a weekly basis or sometimes daily. In the evening I just sit there and try to hack a box, and then I'm just like, that's my equivalent of Netflix. Like, I'm not watching Netflix, I'm just doing the $10 or £10 and hack the box, and I'm sitting there and hacking some boxes. And I found this to be the best way on how to practice, because that's actually, you are hacking, right? You are doing it, and you try to solve some machines. Enough praise for Hack the Box. This video is, by the way, not sponsored by Hack the Box, unfortunately. I'd love to have that, but maybe in the future. The next thing I like to recommend is a Live Overflow. Live Overflow's channel is, I would not say it's for beginners. He is also a fellow German. So you will have some accent there as well, like in my videos. But his videos are excellent and thoroughly and not really for 100% beginners, but you can learn a lot from him. He has some very advanced videos, and he has some more towards beginner friendly videos, but I don't even understand most of the stuff that he is doing. And he has a lot of like buffer overflow stuff and hardware hacking, I think, and stuff like this. But he explains the material really well, so if that's your thing, definitely check him out. The next guy on YouTube is Ezoic, and Ezoic is doing actually Hack the Box walkthroughs, and he is doing it so well, and he explains everything he does so well, that this is my new favorite channel. I was binge watching his CTF walkthroughs the other day, and I'm impressed of how good he is, first of it, and second of it is how much I still have to learn myself. But what I found really valuable on his channel is that while you watch his videos, I recommend you to take notes, because the methodology that he is using is really, really valuable if you want to learn hacking. Just like the scans he's using, the tools he's using, because he explains it so well, you kind of understand of why he's using them. and then you can also implement them in your own workflow. So I really highly recommend his channel. Great work what he's putting out there, and I really love his content. Next, of course, my own channel. As I said before, I do a lot of very beginner friendly stuff, and I will keep doing it in the future. I try to explain everything for everyone so that the biggest noob basically can follow my videos, but also a more advanced guy will get something out of it. So if you like, again, subscribe to my channel would be great. I'll produce a lot of content and put it out there, so I'll be happy for you if you come to my channel and subscribe. Alright, the next thing is Nullbyte. I learned a lot from Cody from Nullbyte. They have a website which is nullbyte.wonderhowto.com or something like that. Just Google Nullbyte. But he also has a YouTube channel where he does hacking tutorials. And he is also doing it in a very, very beginner friendly way. So I think all of his videos are actually very beginner friendly. And I really like his content. When I started to look into hacking in like 2016, I think I started out in like 2016 to get more interested in it. And I started doing his tutorials on how to hack Wi-Fi. That's how I got started. And since that day, I keep coming back to his site and to his YouTube channel because I really like his style of explaining things and how he's putting out content as well. Like, I really highly recommend checking out his channel and his blog as well. The last thing we are going to talk about are books again. Just shortly though, I already went over books, but I want to mention it again on the end. Books are a big part of my own practice of learning hacking. I use books, I buy books, I like to buy books, I like to hold them something physical in my hand to go through, to take notes and stuff like this, but I went over that before, so I won't bug you again with that. Alright, we're almost through. One of the most important advices I can give you is don't get frustrated and keep going. Because you will get frustrated and you will want to quit many, many times. So what I recommend doing is take breaks. And I don't mean the Pomodoro 5-minute to 15 minutes breaks. I mean real breaks, like take a day off in between studying. I know it can get exciting when you just get started and you start to figure out how stuff works and you start to have some success in CTFs and stuff like this, but don't overdo it. Like, plan your week, take a break day, do something nice, find a fun hobby away from the computer, whatever that might be. I like personally doing exercise, and that really helps to clear out your head, so implement an exercise regime while you're studying and just to get away from the computer and get your head cleared, because you are actually learning passively anyway when you step away from actively doing something. It's passive learning, it's a big thing, so you definitely have to put breaks into that. And also I recommend meditation if you can put up with it. Start with 1 minute a day, work your way up, but it also really helps because you need to retain a lot of information in this field, and there's so many things like syntax and whatever, code maybe if you're into programming and you learn programming at the same time. You have to remember a lot of stuff, and if you don't organize everything in your head, it can get overwhelming, you can get burnout and stuff like this. So it's no joke, like take breaks and don't overdo it. Yeah, I think this can be the end of this video. It should sum up everything. I hope it helps, and if it does, please subscribe to the channel, of course, hit the notification bell, check out Ezoic.com, lots of tutorials up there, lots of beginner tutorials, then also check YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all Ezoic, and subscribe to those channels. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment below. If I can, I'm happy to answer them, and please let me know if this information was helpful for you guys. And yeah, good luck. Don't overdo it and keep practicing, and definitely physical or actual practice is my favorite way of doing, hence it's the best way to learn hacking, at least for me. Alright guys, see you back in the next video, and thanks for watching. Bye!